For most innovations, there's always a period where people try to figure out how to use it and how to push it to its limit. Like the first Wright brothers plane flew only 120 feet, but eventually someone thought, what if we could fly over an ocean? Take the car, for instance. Shortly after it was invented, someone must have said, hey, let's see if we can drive it around in circles really fast. And this is their dizzying story. It was inevitable that once cars were created, people would soon want to race them.
There's an old joke. When was the first automobile race? When they built the second car. It wasn't quite that fast, but pretty close. The first official race in the United States took place on Thanksgiving Day of 1895. It was a 54-mile round trip between Chicago and Evanston, Illinois. Of the 6 cars that were entered, only 2 of them managed to finish.
I met up with Curator of Transportation Matt Anderson to get a better understanding of what fuels our need for speed. Did auto racing push the development of the automobile?
It did. New technologies came right out of auto racing, and it was also an important way for manufacturers to promote their automobiles, not just the name brands, but the quality and the reliability. This was a time when cars were still seen with suspicion by a lot of folks. It was a new technology. How good are these things? Well, you go out and you win a race. You kind of prove the quality of the vehicle.
The earliest races, were they on quarter-mile tracks? Or were they from city to city?
Just about every major form of racing we enjoy today was around in the first couple of decades. So hill climb races, land speed races. The most popular races at that time would have been just on dirt oval tracks, and often it was just a horse track that was kind of repurposed for auto racing.
So what were the first races?
A lot of the races that are still popular today got their start in the first couple of decades of the automotive age. So the 24 Hours of Le Mans in France started in 1923. The Pikes Peak Hill Climb started in 1916. And then the greatest American race of all, the Indy 500, had its first run in 1911.
The Americans versus the Europeans. Who got off the starting block first?
I think it's fair to say the Europeans were ahead of us in terms of the racing ability that they had. But this car, Old 16, represents a real turning point. It was the first American-built car to win a major road race here in the United States. Prior to that, the first 3 races had been won by French cars. So when this car won, it was sort of telling the world American cars are now every bit as good as those coming from Europe.
Driving today is so much safer than it used to be. What do we owe these early race car drivers?
A lot of the safety advances we have in modern cars came out of racing. Things like seat belts or compartments within the car or crash compartments that protect you in an accident. Things like disc brakes, fuel injection. Maybe the most interesting invention came out of the 1911 Indy 500, the first Indy 500. A driver by the name of Ray Haroon wanted a set of eyes in the back of his head so he could keep his eyes on the competition. He put a little mirror up on the front of his car.
That's the rear view mirror.
Exactly.
Thanks to that rear view mirror, we can look fondly to the past and give thanks to those racing pioneers who pushed the limits of their cars. So today we can all drive safer and, yes, a lot faster.